Welcome to a very exhausted and tired version of Panther Pre. I am your host, as always, Alex Lopez. Joining me tonight is nobody. I am by myself. It is going to be a bumpy ride, guys. TJ is in Europe. Jacob is visiting the mouse where I just left. And yeah, it's been fun. Panthers are back in the series with a 5-4 overtime win. Brad Marchand saves the season with a deflection goal that goes well above Joseph Wool's shoulder and into the back of the net to, like I said, save the season for the Florida Panthers. Was a very, very interesting game. Leafs came out absolutely on fire for the second time this series, scored on the first shift of the game. They honestly could have scored on three different occasions on that first shift. It could not have been a worse start for the Florida Panthers. I mean, Austin Matthews should have been in on a breakaway 5 seconds into the game, but the pass was just out of his reach. 5 seconds later, they're hitting the post. 5 seconds after that, it's in the back of the net. A few minutes later, Carter Verhaeghe gets a huge hit behind the Leafs net, but there's a reason hits aren't the best stat because it doesn't always result in a turnover. More often than not, it doesn't. And it just takes you out of the play. That's exactly what happened on this one. Carter Verhaeghe's huge hit had zero impact because the Leafs quickly got it out of the zone, got an odd man rush and put it in the back of the net. John Tavares on a wraparound in a goal that should give anyone but recent Panthers fans absolute PTSD. The only thing missing wasn't a brutal missed tripping call 30 seconds before that puck ended up in the back of the net. Um, Quickly 2-0, and it looked like it was going to be a blowout early on. Leafs had all of the momentum, all of the shot pressure. And then the Panthers catch a break. Barkov with an amazing move to turn a turnover into a premium scoring chance, gets some help from Morgan Riley to put the Panthers within one. Then a very, very curious penalty. And I only say curious because I did not see an interference. I was at the game live, so I didn't have the benefit of replay, but AJ Greer in the box for an offensive zone interference penalty while the Panthers had the puck. Like usually that's on like a pick play or something. I'm not saying it was a bad call. I'm just saying I didn't see one as I was watching live and we didn't get a replay. Leafs capitalized pretty quickly on the power play, get a goal that was deflected off John Tavares and then off going well wide of the net and then off Gustav Forsling into behind Bob 3-1. And it really did feel like that was going to be a backbreaker, but the Panthers finally turned it on after that, got some pressure, got the scramble goal. And I'm going to talk about that one for a second because that was an extremely interesting goal in the sense of you had a lot happen. And what I mean by that is the first thing is the puck is behind Joseph Wool. It's Joseph or Jacob. Let's find out. Let's use the Google machine. This is why I need Jacob around to correct me when I get names wrong. It is Joseph Wool, so I'm getting it right from the beginning here. Puck's behind Joseph Wool. It is played with a broken stick cleared off the line. For those of you who are unaware, that is an automatic minor penalty if you are using a broken stick during play. The only player who's allowed to play with a broken stick is a goalie. Um, so by knocking that puck off the line, the arm from Wes McCauley or my favorite TJ Luxmore should have immediately gone up. It did not. 5 seconds later, or not even a split second later, there's a mad scramble, and the same Leafs defenseman who attempted to clear it off the line with his broken stick, then covered the puck with his hand, which is an automatic penalty shot when you do it in the crease. But somehow that puck still sneaks its way into the net. So justice was served, and the Panthers are back within one. very shortly later, Sam Bennett sets up Carter Verhaeghe for a essential tap in goal, and it really felt like the Panthers were finally back in the game, turned the momentum. Like the Barkov goal was completely against the pace of play. I think it was Evan Rodriguez finally got credit for the second goal. It felt like it was against the pace of play. But then finally you saw that Panthers team that for the past few years has been able to turn it on and take over games. And we got it from them. We got it. Game is tied. Jonah Gadjevich, that fourth goal was changed from Tomas Nozick to Jonah Gadjevich. He gets a soft one through Joseph Wall. Panthers have a 4-3 lead, and you really felt like that was the backbreaker on this Leafs team. Like this was a Leafs team that they're known as choke artists. They've been the team that can't get it done when the bright lights of the playoffs are on. And I gotta tell you, through 3 games, that's not the Leafs team we've seen. This is a Leafs team that, like Brad Marchand said, this is a different team than we saw in the past. They've got the composure. They're getting bounces in this series. That's for damn sure. I'm starting to realize what Rob Bridmore meant when we didn't get swept. But they're getting bounces, but this is a Leaf team that is resilient, and they pushed, they got away with a lot down 4-3. I mean, they were clutching, they were grabbing, they were tripping, they were hooking, they were holding, and the arm just wouldn't go up. It was kind of hilarious. I never, ever want to hear Leafs fans talk about Wes McCauley with a negative word in their mouth again, because Wes McCauley and TJ Luxmore, they were your boy tonight. Like, my God, just anything that could go the Leafs' way, they were doing it. Like, it took a miracle for the Panthers. It was like it took Seth Jones getting tripped in a turnover in the defensive zone to finally get a power play late in the game for the Panthers. But the Leafs were pushing, going back to them, all credit to them. Like I said, this is not the team that rolled over and died in 5 games 2 seasons ago. It's just not. They get another lucky bounce where a pretty innocuous shot goes off Bob, off Seth Jones, and into the back of the net to tie it at 4. And then we had a pretty 50-50 game for the rest of regulation. Then we got to overtime, and the Leafs dominated that first 10 minutes of overtime. The Panthers looked like the team that is running on fumes. They're carrying play. They've created a couple breakaway chances that Sergei Bobrovsky came up huge on, got, and then finally the Panthers kind of strung a couple of shifts together and had a situation where they sustained some pressure, and TJ looks more early whistle on a puck that was clearly still loose, and it didn't matter. And I only mention that just because I am so tired of Leafs fans complaining about officiating in the series where outside of the Bennett play, it's really gone their way. But yeah, Panthers finally sustain some momentum, but really don't come close to scoring. Then finally, we get Brad Marchand with a shot that deflects. I don't know who it deflected off, but it clearly was a Leafs player. Flutters over Joseph Wall. Panthers win in a game that, for most of it, I really didn't think they were going to. And I was planning on how to do a solo pod down 3-0 and what kind of tone I was going to take, because I did tell myself no matter how upset I was not going to blame officiating for being down 3-0, because they're down 2-1, and it's not the officiating's fault. The officiating has been poor, but the reality is the Leafs have been doing things that are just better than the Panthers in this series. They've made the small plays, and they deserve to be up 2-0. Yeah, a couple of bounces go the Panthers' way, and they could be the team up 2-1 or even 3-0. That's what you get when you have 3 1-goal games against two very good teams in the playoffs. Um, there's a lot I want to go through. Or we had some lineup changes. Joda Gadjevich was in. Tomas Nozick was in. Um, Nico Sturm was out. Mackie Samoskevich out. I'm not sure if that was Maurice related or injury related. You do got to remember that Sturm did take an elbow to the head from Max Pacioretty in game one, and it's possible that he is, suffering some issues with that, or maybe it was just a coaching decision. I don't know. I haven't heard Paul Maurice's post-game comments. I'm sure that information is available, but it paid off. Your fourth line was pretty good tonight. They did not hurt you, and they got you a goal. So Paul Maurice, his line shuffling, or at least his fourth line shuffling, it worked out quite well for the Florida Panthers tonight. Next thing I got to talk about, and it's kind of the elephant in the room. Matthew Tkachuk. You're at the point where you need to strongly either consider scratching him or essentially deciding, hey, we're going to play 10 forward, six defensemen, and Kachuk's only going out there for extremely sheltered offensive zone draws and power plays because he was awful tonight. The play died on his stick all night. He cannot skate right now. He just can't. It's like, and I think it's in his head because there were just basic plays where all he needed to do was receive a pass in the neutral zone and get the puck deep, and the puck just kept bouncing off of his stick and going through him. I think there was one shift in the third or the second period where all he had to do, like he was on the half boards, and all he had to do was just hold the puck in, and it went through him twice in like a 5 second span, and you could just see the frustration on his face. But the reality is like he's just not helping you right now. And your second line is basically Carter Verhaeghe and Sam Bennett. And then you basically only have Matthew Tkachuk providing anything when there is sustained pressure inside the zone. The problem is he's not helping you get in the zone. He's not able to forecheck. He's not doing a lot. Um, you're very lucky to be down 2-1 when Matthew Tkachuk is just not able to really contribute offensively or defensively or in transition. It's a problem, and I think you can't um you can't you can't continue with this on Sunday. Like you need to do something different because it's just not working. So I wanted to make this kind of an AMA to help me get through this. So I'm going to go through some of those questions now. Just pull them up here as I stall for time. I'm really good at doing this. I'm really good at doing this solo, guys. Definitely. All right. One of the questions from Julio Jeep 89. Why did it feel like Lundell was constantly matched up against Matthews on faceoffs? Because he was. That Lundell, Luosterainen, Marchand line is your eraser line. That is your best line defensively, where you don't mind giving up sacrificing offense for defense. And that's what Maurice was trying to do to free up Barkov, Reinhart, and Rodriguez against lesser lines, because the reality is the Barkov line's been losing to the Matthews line all series. Dom Lechuzen, brought it up to us during our series preview. 5-1, the goals were between Barkov and Matthews when they're both on the ice in the last like five or so games. That's not a sustainable number. And in this series, Matthews lines won that matchup. You're fine with Barkov and Matthews playing to a draw, but not losing it. So Maurice made a decision, and I think it was the right one, to get Lundell out there against Matthews more and just say, hey, play to a draw and allow Barkov to go against the second or third line of the Leafs and hopefully get some better hopefully get some better matchup for Barkov and get more offense out of Barkov and Reinhart. Um yeah, from my brother David, does that mean the Leafs were hunting the Bennett line? Absolutely. You've got Matthew Tkachuk, who is just not able to provide much in transition. So I would absolutely be hunting that line. Sam Bennett is fine defensively, but not great. And Carter Verhaeghe is meh defensively at best. So yeah, that's definitely a line that the Leafs were hunting with the home matchup. And now that, you're at home and you get second change, the Panthers are, trying to keep Bennett and Kachuk and Verhage away from Matthews as they should. Um, Other questions. Let's see. Panthers have had trouble against the rush this season, like they have in the first two games. Have the Panthers had trouble against the rush all season compared to the last two games against the Leafs and again tonight? Um, the way the Panthers play is it's a very aggressive attacking style, especially on the forecheck. What that means is there's going to be a lot of time. Well, if you're a good forechecking team like the Panthers are, they're arguably the best in the NHL. You're going to sustain a lot of pressure in the offensive zone with that forecheck, and you're going to cause a lot of turnover. You're going to cause a lot of chaos, and the puck's going to be in the offensive zone a lot of the time. The downside is if you have mobile defensemen who can move the puck, you can avoid that forecheck, get the puck out quickly, get it into the neutral zone with some area passes, and counterattack it. The Leafs have done a fantastic job of exactly that in this series, is how that second goal happened, where the Panthers, dumped it down, got on the forecheck. Carter Verhaeghe had the huge hit, but it didn't matter. The puck was already out of the zone and the Leafs were flying down the ice. So the Leafs have done a great job of countering the Panthers' forecheck in this series by having mobile defensemen who can get to the puck quickly, get it up the ice and out of the zone, and not let the Panthers forecheck establish themselves. Again, a problem where your best forechecker, Matthew Tkachuk, is currently a shell of himself skating wise and not able to get in there as F1 and cause mayhem. Carter Verhaeghe is not usually the guy who is the F1 on that line. It's Matthew Tkachuk, and he's not able to do that. So that's the issue there, and that's why the Leafs have been able to counterattack the Panthers so well, is that their defensemen have done a fantastic job of getting the puck out of the zone, up the ice, and getting it to, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Matthews, guys who can still skate really well, or in the case of Marner and Nylander, they're not can still skate. They just skate extremely well, and they're able to beat that forecheck. And because the Panthers are so aggressive and that's their style, they're giving up odd man rushes. And this is not the team you really want to give up a lot of odd man rushes to. So, it's one of those things where you don't really change what you do because the Panthers have won the East twice and won a cup with this aggressive style. You just have to honestly just be better at how you're dumping the puck in and get in there a lot quicker with F1 and cause the mayhem on the forecheck. You saw it in spurts tonight where they were able to kind of contain the Leafs and keep the puck in the offensive zone. They weren't able to do it long enough to, get this game done in regulation, but it is what it is. You got the win. It's 2-1 in the series. Um, I want to start to wrap it up because again, I've been talking for almost 30 minutes straight now. Um, Another question from my brother who should just jump in here and help me out. Like, if you're my brother, like help out and just request to speak or something. My God. Um, do you think all the hits are going to eventually slow the Leafs down? That's what the Panthers have been best at the last two years, is that they able to wear down their opponents. Um, they've been able to wear down their opponents. And by the end of the series, their opponent is exhausted. And the opponent is exhausted, and the Panthers are able to just kind of impose their will. That's not happened so far in this series. The Panthers had a massive advantage in hits again, but they were the team that was gassed at the end of the game. So, um, I don't know how the Panthers just very much look like a team that is on their third long playoff run in 3 years, and the Leafs are looking like the team that is hungry to finally break through. I'm not saying the series is over. I'm not trying to make this a negative podcast. I'm just saying this ain't the Leafs of 2 years ago, and you're going to need to find some energy if you want to win game four and send this thing back to Toronto down 2-2. Um, David, finally.
Let's jump in.
God, you sound terrible. I think I'm about to kick you back right back off. Yeah,
Here,
goodbye.
here's my question.
Yeah, I'm just doing that to mess with my brother. I'm recording this on my computer, so he would not have come through on the space on the podcast anyway. Um, you got to where I'm going to take some hope, and I've been praising the Leafs, saying, "Hey, this isn't the same Leafs of 2 years ago," but they let the Panthers off the mat tonight. They really did. They had a chance to, put the foot on the throat and essentially make give the Panthers a choice of, do you want to go down quietly and get swept in the second round, which no shame. Hey, you made the cup finals twice in a row and then you got swept to year three in round two. It is what it is. Or gentlemen sweep and Leafs clinch at home. That's what they Leafs had an opportunity tonight. They did not do that. That said, this is still the Leafs. If you and this wasn't exactly like LA Kings Oilers from round one, where the Kings were in full control up to nothing and then just made baffling decision after baffling decision to let the Oilers off the mat, and that series ended up being Oilers in six. Now we get to see if that's exactly what's going to happen here. The Leafs had an opportunity, up to nothing 5 minutes into the game and absolutely carrying play. This game should have been a runaway, you know, 5-1 type of win for the Leafs. All the credit to the Panthers for not quitting and battling back. But yeah, the Leafs let the Panthers off the mat tonight. And now Sunday, you have a shot to tie this series, send it back to Toronto 2-2, and the assholes are going to be puckered in Toronto. Um, if you can, if you can pull that off. Uh, I'm kind of running out of things. I'm probably gonna call it right around here. Hold on, I had some other questions somewhere. Let me look. Yeah, someone asked if you're Paul Maurice, what lines would you tweak? Same thing I already said. I think you got to really consider moving Kachuk to the fourth line, bringing Mackey in, and Kachuk is basically getting extremely sheltered minutes. This is assuming Mackey is healthy. And tonight's decision was a healthy scratch decision, not an injury decision. Again, we don't know yet. Another question: why don't the Panthers sell Nate Schmidt jerseys? Um, because he's Nate Schmidt, even though he's been very good in this season for the playoffs. Uh, how do we shake the ever looming sense of impending disaster, then being super stoked when things go well? That's on you, man. We won the cup last year. Like, nothing should be able to hurt us at this point. Like, come on. We are the defending Stanley Cup champions until we're eliminated. And even if we're eliminated in this round, the next round, or in the cup final again, there like there's absolutely nothing that anyone ever can ever take away from us as Panther fans, that this team won a cup. It wasn't a fluky cup win and then you immediately go back to irrelevance. Like, this team is built for the long haul. We're in round two, and honestly, if this team was healthier, I think they'd be up 2-1 or up 3-0 in this series, but they're not. And they're also tired. They played more hockey. I've said it 1,000 times throughout the year. They played more hockey than any other team in the NHL over the last 2+ seasons. Of course, the legs are on the end of the rope. It's just a matter of how much longer can they hold on and get to the end of this. Um, so that's it. Rate us 5 stars on whatever solo mission and something or whatever. Someone give me something. Rate me 5 stars on, I don't know. I'm tired. It's 12:10 in the morning. Uh yeah, Panthers survived. I'm exhausted. One thing I gotta say, someone who hasn't been able to drink in the last 3 months, I don't know how you people who are sober do these stressful games without drinking, because my God, it was so much harder sober than it is with a buzz. So that's where I will leave it. Rate me 5 stars on, wherever. That's it for me. Good night, everybody, and go Panthers.